Welcome, everyone, to our latest episode of the Testing Room, where three of the video game industry's best video game consultants, who have never actually consulted on a video game, bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, aka The Godfather.
I'm Christian, aka Sudoku45.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
Yeah. And as we like to dive in each week, we're going to kick things off by going over to Preston's comment corner and see what's happening.
Yeah, got a comment here.
All right.
From Mr. Damien. Appreciate the comment. It says, question. I'm curious on your take of remaking Legend of Dragoon. I feel that game is long overdue. Also, a modern Twisted Metal would be great. I don't know much about Legend of Dragoon. I'm sure Christian can speak on that a little bit more, but I will mention that they already did try to do a somewhat modern, I guess, of Twisted Metal, which would be the PS3 version of it, and that it sold like shit, and they didn't want to make another game. The show apparently did all right, but
Yeah, we're two generations removed from that one, though.
Yeah, but you make a new Twisted Metal game, it's going to be that game, and PlayStation doesn't care. You know, it's got to make The Last of Us again for the fifth time. Part 1 and 2. It's got to remake those a couple more times.
So, really quick.
Go ahead.
So the Legend of the Dragoon piece, before we get it, because I think the Twisted Metal one has more, nuance to be talked about. Legend of Dragoon definitely needs to be remade. I do think it's fucking hilarious to me, though, and I don't know what it is about this game, but most people that I know that know about Legend of Dragoon grew up specifically in the Midwest. To put it as perspective, my wife only knows that's the only JRPG she's ever played.
Okay.
And she does not play video games, period. But if somebody asks her about the Legend of Dragoon, she knows about it. It's criminal that it has not been remade. I don't understand why or what's stopping somebody. I don't know if there's a weird licensing issue, whatever it is.
I know they re-released the original when PlayStation started doing the
they did drop the classic
subscription.
Version. Yep.
And it got a lot of praise. I'm sure it's got a lot of downloads, but again,
it's just weird. It's a great JRPG. If anybody's ever looking to go mess with it, you should. It's great. But yeah, I don't know. That answer is just yes. It's been forever. I feel like that way. There's tons of JRPG. Like the Lunar series needs one. It is getting a re-release on Switch.
Didn't we just get a trailer for that?
Yeah, I mean it's like a remaster. It's not really a remake, but yes, either way, having it in any shape or form is great.
At that point, a game that old, a remaster is damn near a remake because they will just make it.
It can be depending on who's work. Yeah. The answer is yes. It definitely needs to. Twisted Metal, I don't know. I think that you would need to find somebody that could actually figure out a fun way to bring that series back in some sort of a meaningful way, and I just don't know that there's anybody out there doing the death race genre.
Oh, sure.
That's my thing with that. I think there are some games that don't deserve a remake because they were a moment in time, and I don't think they translate well to today, right? I just don't know what the appetite is for that sort of game other than nostalgia, and I don't think nostalgia carries that series very far.
I like car combat games just fine. I mean, I own this last one, so I definitely like those type of games. But just a whole lot of people out there don't want it. I mean, what they kind of tried a car combat game with, was it Battle Royale All Stars, wherever the fuck that free game was on PlayStation Plus? I think it was last year or the year before. I played it for a hot minute, but it was just arena car combat game.
Oh, yeah.
And do shit. And that would be what I guess you would kind of do for a modern version of it, because you're going to want to get a battle pass involved, all this kind of shit. If you're going to do that game nowadays, that's how it's going to be. And just people just don't care as much about car combat. I love them. You want to talk about Vigilante 8? You want to talk about Star Wars Demolition? I love vehicle destruction games. Those games are great. I enjoy them. I'm not saying they're great. I'm saying that I enjoy them. Take that back. But yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of people. There are people who want it.
Don't let Alex being a negative Nancy stop you from saying some of those games are good. Look, there's an original twist. I think the original Twisted Metal rules, and can hold up against a thing. But the problem is that I think it's just like, what do you do? Because you can't. If you were just going to remake Twisted Metal 1, then the answer would be you should just go play Twisted Metal 1. So, like, what do you do to, like, bring it back in some sort of meaningful way that, like, pushes it forward
cars,
and also gets people excited and stuff like that?
And colors and stuff like that.
I just don't know that there's anybody out there that's doing that right now. Like, you'd also have to figure out that game would probably be like a live service sort of gas game that would live and breathe on a bunch of
bullshit.
Gen Z kids figuring out like what they're like super excited about and getting into it, and I just like I don't think you're gonna be able to get them. So I don't know. I think it's the same issue that like all of these hero shooters are running into, is like nobody ever moved away from Overwatch because it was the only one, and now Overwatch is hemorrhaging players because people like Marvel Rivals, but like there's only room for one. Like
before Marvel Rivals, it was Concord and other games like that.
I mean, Concord tried and then they failed in a week.
Valorant did like hero shooter. Isn't Valorant a hero shooter?
Valorant is what, but and I'm putting ones that like paid versus free, but that's what I mean. It's like there's only a room for a couple. Like, it's the same reason why Battle Royale games, you don't see very many of them. It's because
they're all
that market's already spoken for.
Yeah.
Like, you're either playing Warzone or you're playing Fortnite.
Same thing with WoW and MMOs. People were playing WoW. They weren't just like, I'll play a second one. They was like, no, they're playing WoW. They're going to stick with WoW because all their friends are on WoW. So that's all there's going to be.
Yeah, it's WoW or Final Fantasy 14.
But no one is doing
those two.
Those car combat games.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's just not a need for it. Again, I don't know if they saw that with previous games or not, but it's just...
I think the car, like, racing genre in general is just kind of, like, in a weird spot. Like,
you need to be the sim upon sims, which is Gran Turismo, or you need to be some type of arcadey thing to, like, get people, like, having excited, fun stuff happening.
Yeah, and even then, it seems like they're on diminishing returns with that, right? Like,
Horizon.
Gran Turismo sells less year over year. Forza sells less year over year. It's like, I don't know, man. I just think you gotta, I don't know, figure out a way to make it interesting. I'm not saying it's not impossible, or it's not possible, because you can. I just think someone's got to come right with the right idea.
Sure.
All right. There we go. So, anything else there?
No other comments, unless you guys want to talk anything about the recent PlayStation State of Play that happened. If anything like grabbed your guys' eye, or if there's anything that you guys want to talk about from that type of broadcast.
There were a few things I saw, and I'm sure there are other great things, but there was nothing there that is going to make me turn on my PlayStation. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. So, like, there's some games that Sony's making that'll come to other platforms. Great. But, like, anything that's just PlayStation related, I'm sorry. There's just nothing compelling enough to make me...
They didn't show anything that was exclusive to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean...
So, I mean...
I thought there was...
Outside of this new Supermassive game, Directive 8020 or whatever, I think that is an exclusive.
Was that Pixel Junk game not exclusive? The Dreams of Another? No? Okay.
Nope.
They showed Yakuza. We've talked about that. Like, we already knew that was coming to other stuff. Right? They showed the Lies of P, which will be fine, but I have to beat like the OG Lies of P before I dive into that DLC.
It looks sick, though.
It
looks interesting. Yeah.
They did show us a little CG teaser for Saros, the new Housemarque.
Yeah, Housemarque. But that will probably end up coming to PC as well, because so did their last game.
Yeah. We saw more of that Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I thought that was dope as shit looking.
Yeah, I was very positive on this show. I think like
a lot of good action games.
Now, I do agree with Alex's overall point that there's nothing that's like making me run to my PlayStation. That being said, most of these games so far look like they are going to be coming to PC. So from that perspective, there was tons of games they showed that I thought looked sick. Like
then that brings up a new question, which is, are these state of plays losing their importance?
No, because not everyone has a really nice PC like you.
Yeah.
Like there are
No,
people out there
not-
who have just
I mean-
PlayStations, and that's what they do.
I think
Right.
if you own a console, if you own a PlayStation still, and you know that you don't have a PC, but
So you're on the edge of your seat for the Sony State of Play if you only have a PlayStation?
Yes.
I think so because it's showing what games you're going to be able to buy.
And like what cool things are coming out. I mean, like don't get me wrong, like outside of the before the actual state of play happened, like people were like, "Oh, is Bloodborne going to happen? Is this going to happen?" Like they were excited to see what's going to happen.
You said Bloodborne was going to happen.
I mean, I played Devil.
We
Advocate.
definitely said
Yeah,
it was not
you
gonna
did,
happen.
for
we
sure.
were very
Devil's
much
Advocate.
right on that,
Yeah,
by
that's
the way.
Oh, Devil's Advocate now.
Well, I said that last week, but it's okay. But yeah,
There's
no, I
just
mean,
no way to know.
I mean, people. I mean, I'm excited about like any of these like showcases. Like, show me some more games, show me some new games, show me some like cool shit that I'm gonna be looking forward to later on. Whether it's PlayStation exclusive or not, at this point in time, like exclusivity outside of Nintendo doesn't matter as much. Outside of like the next Spider-Man game or whatever the fuck Wolverine game, it's probably gonna come on PlayStation. But how long is it gonna take to get to PC? Do I want to wait that long, or do I just want to play my PlayStation? Because I have a PlayStation 5. It runs just fine. And I do like having hard copies of good games. So sometimes I still buy them for PlayStation. But that's definitely just a me thing when it comes to the hard copy version. But yeah, no, there's plenty of people out there who do not have a computer or don't care to build a computer or can't do it, don't want to, put the time and effort into it. And so, yeah, they're looking for PlayStation to show them some cool shit that they have coming down the pipeline.
I don't mean that. I don't know. It's the you know. I
That's
think
an
we're going
us thing,
backward
for sure.
No, I think it's going backwards now. Like nobody cared about E3, so we got these state of plays. But like, most people don't give a shit about waiting for these state of plays. I would rather just have one place, like the Game Awards or something, where I could just see everybody's fucking showcase. Because like, I think it's dumb every time I turn around. Like Nintendo, they have 4 a year. I don't give a shit. Give me one a year and just show me what's coming, right? Or like Sony, what have you? Like, but again. Nobody cared about E3, which is why it went under. I'm just, I guess, weird in which point I would rather have just one place to show me all this stuff than like a bunch of different like hour-long trailer fests.
Yeah, I think people much prefer these because it's like, hey, we're showing you stuff that's coming, 6 months from now. And then here's something like now in this one they showed stuff that was like way farther out than that.
Yeah, it was 2026 games.
For the most part, all of these ones are like, hey, here's stuff that's coming soon, and you're like, oh, okay, sweet. And it lets you get a little bit more excited as opposed to like an E3 where it's like, hey, we're announcing a game that's gonna come out 4.5 years from now, but be ready. I mean, like think about, dude, I think one of the last E3s that happened was when the next Mass Effect game got shown off.
Yeah.
And we are still not hearing anything about that game.
Yeah.
So I think this is preferred. But there are a lot of them. There's so many of them, in fact, that I think like this one I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was happening until we went to go record last week's episode where we were talking about it. Then, even though we had just done an episode on it, the next day when it was coming out, he texted earlier that day about it, and I remembered it then and then forgot by the time it turned on and missed it, and I had to go back and look at it. So. There is a lot of them and it happens, but I still think it's preferable to, like getting a bunch of trailers that get dropped and then everybody forgets about, and then they're like, oh, right, this game that I don't remember from 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I thought there was a ton of cool shit. So
a lot of character
even though it's
games, like surprisingly.
Yeah, which was like clearly it was, that's probably why I liked it so much. But Lost Soul Aside looks sick. The new Lies of P DLC looks cool as fuck. I thought the new it's the leaked one, but the new trailer they showed for the MGS3 remake looks badass.
Tides of Annihilation looked really fucking cool. Another character.
So that's
action.
Tides of Annihilation was like, I saw that game and I was like,
fucking
yo,
rad.
if this, just off the trailer alone, I was like, I'm wishlisting on Steam and I will check back in whenever that's ready to go. But that looked really cool. I'm glad Onimusha's coming back. I really am. They remade one, or they remastered one.
Animations on some of that was incredible. Like when you had a guy like done the
and that's the original. Like
so
that's
good.
they're just remastering it. Like this is not a remake. Like this
Yeah,
is
but
just a
that
remaster.
didn't look that good with like the expressions and stuff
Yes.
in the original game. Okay, all right.
Dude, so here's just for anybody who wants to go do a little homework. Onimusha is a series that I still don't understand where Capcom ended up getting the technology to do different pieces of it. So like in 2 specifically, the facial animations and stuff in that look incredible, and everybody always talked about their facial capture tech from 1 to 2. 3 turns around, if you go look up the original intro for 3, like the FMV for 3, there are certain parts that look so good that even today it looks live action. And it was mind-blowing then, it's still mind-blowing now.
But they're releasing 2, right? Isn't this one they showed like a new game?
So
It's a 2D
Versus number 2 was a re-release, but the other one's
Onimusha 2.
yeah.
Yeah, Way of the Sword was a new game.
Onimusha 1 has already been remastered and is out already. Onimusha 2 is getting a remaster and is coming soon, and then they have announced that they are the next game in the series is like they've been showing it.
That's the Way of the
and
Sword
that looks,
one, right?
Right, and that one looks fucking cool. I can't wait for that one. I'm excited Onimusha's back. I can't wait. I love that fucking series. So.
Apparently there's a little controversy with a new one, which is, I guess Capcom went out and licensed, or they have the license for that guy's face, so that is one of Japan's, like, really famous samurai movie actors that's dead. He's dead. He's dead now, so I guess there's some controversy, like, they license his face, but they're recreating him, and people are gonna people. But it looks good. I told Christian this. My only problem with that trailer is they did the dub, and the dub acting, while being fine, threw me because it didn't match up, and I know it's not as good, right? And so like,
You're going.
I wish they would have just shown.
Yeah, Onimusha.
I wish they would have just shown that one with the subs because it would have made the trailer better. But
you might be able to find a Japanese trailer. I'm sure it's out there.
Probably.
Oh, I'm sure they got one floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very weird that Japan is still, like, when they make games, they love to license real actors. Like, it had with Lost Judgment, that whole situation, and how that series is never coming back because of a similar issue.
Because of drugs.
Like, well, yeah, it's just marijuana, but, hey, throw away the key.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, so I don't know. It is weird they get into that. That being said, whatever. If that's like the biggest controversy surrounding your game, I think you're going to be okay. And then the new Pixel Junk game looks sick. I was down with that. And then obviously the new Housemarque game. I thought Returnal was fucking awesome. So
They're going back
it was
to
hard
a
as
shooter.
fuck.
Yeah.
But it was cool as hell. So if they're going to do another one, I'm down.
For sure.
I think the thing that stuck out to me most out of everything, like the Lies of P looked good, but again, I still have to go through that game before I get to the DLC. The thing that stuck out to me most was that the Tides of Annihilation was the Knights of the Round Table sort of thing, right? Like the medieval looking. I don't know if it's Knights of the Round Table, but
yeah, it's like
it is medieval,
very high fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's high fantasy, but if I'm not, I was reading about it the other day. If I'm not mistaken, it's very like there's 12 knights and like that's who you're fighting. They're all different types of. It looks good. I think that was the thing I probably was the most excited about. I can't wait to have this action game called a Souls-like for the next year and a half as we're prepping for that, because that's what's going to happen.
It's the next 10 years.
But it looks, it looks cool.
Dave the Diver, Ichiban's Holiday. We didn't already have
I didn't see that
one.
one, actually. I didn't even see that.
No, it was there. I do have thoughts about that, but I don't think... So, I'll get to it in my week, but...
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave the Diver, Ichiban, DLC. Those guys are getting great DLC. That's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're doing... Didn't they do Godzilla one?
Yep.
Yeah.
They did Dredge, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. That's a
Dredge
perfect crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, who wants to start us off with their week?
I can go first. I got a big week.
Sure.
All right, let me get this out of the way. All right. So, I finished Citizen Sleeper 2. Clocked that in at about 15, 16 hours, a little bit longer than Christian. I had the worst luck with that game. I was getting small dice numbers, and even some of the mid dice numbers I was getting negative outcomes on. Now, it's one thing if you're getting negative outcomes, like, you're trying to get some money, doing some jobs. My negative outcomes were happening during the story points. So you'll get some text and dialogue and an image, and at the very end of that text dialogue, it'd be like, there's usually like an option, and it like refers to like one of your stats. Most of them didn't give me like 50% positive, 50% neutral. It's usually like 25 positive, 50% neutral, 25% possibility of negative. And a lot of times I was getting those negatives. Towards the end, I got a couple nicer positive ones, but there was a point in that game to where like, I feel like I'm fucking up. There's no way for me to save scum this, so I have to deal with the things that happen. That's the one thing about this game, is that there's no manual saving. It saves when it thinks it should, which is a lot. Every once in a while, I would go into like level up my sleeper, and it'd be like, "Fuck, did I put that there? Wait, shit!" I press pause. I'm like, "Okay, it said it saved 35 seconds ago. I can quit the game real quick before it saves and go back and change that attribute instead." But yeah, no, it's you make a decision. It's gonna save it for you, and you're not gonna be able to go back on that. I think I missed like. You can get a crew essentially to certain points. A little bit spoilery, but you can get a crew. I think I missed out on 2 people. So it was a really good game, incredible writing. I was, not when I say I'm glad to be done with it, that wasn't just that I was disliking the game, but it was just like it was a lot, and there's a lot going on there, and I am glad I finished it. This is gonna be one of those games to where like towards the end of the year, if I feel like I have a little extra time, I might jump back into this, knowing what I know, and trying to go back into there, because there is one fucking attribute that none of my crew members really ever had, and mine was to where like you're picking your 3 sleepers, you have to pick like the classes, if you will, and each one of them has a attribute that you cannot upgrade. It's like you will never have this attribute. It's like you can't get it, level up or anything like that.
Yeah, it's your trade-off.
Yeah.
That trade-off attribute was also an attribute that none of my crew members had, and I had all but 2. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, well, definitely if I play this game again, I'm picking that attribute as like my main one. And it just seemed like that attribute tended to pop up a lot. So there's a few things like that to where I just kind of like kick in the dirt a little bit, like, man, I wish I had that, or man, I wish I didn't have a negative outcome, or man, I wish I could have reloaded that save to see what could happen. But that's one of the great things about this game and the storytelling it does, is that you have to stick with the actions and the results of those actions, period. There's no saves coming in and getting the perfect run. It's a lot of it's based on luck. The only time you're getting a guaranteed positive roll is if you got a 6. And if you're not getting a 6, the 5 is still a 50% neutral, 50% positive. And below that, you're having a possibility of a negative every time.
Yep, and there's chance that when you put that little 5 in, it could be like neutral, and you're like, well,
cool.
All right.
Like, it's better than nothing, but if it's a dangerous job, then you're going to get some stress on there. And there was a point to where, I'm not going to say how it happens, I'm not going to say what it is, because I don't think this was in the first one, but I only had 5 dice there towards the very end. I can get, whatever, I got 1 less, so I think you actually get 5 dice. But I think, it's like, I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 dice, but essentially that mechanic is new. What you're talking about, that mechanic is new to the second one. So, just for the rest of that section of the game, I just had less dice to roll as we went on. So there's
Alex was on a call with me when that happened to me. I was like, well, there goes one of my dice. Yep.
You can't. I permanently can't do it ever. You can't get it back. You can't do nothing. There are
you can repair it if you have a certain character with you that can do something. But yeah.
So there are some. Okay, I'm sorry. The dice you can repair. There is a glitch system, if you will.
Yes.
And that you can have permanent stacks on. So
yes, you can.
There was a permanent stack on there for me. Luckily, the story is like, hey, we're going to give you this one. I'm like, okay, cool. And then like later towards the end, it's like, you got another one. I'm like, fuck. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to do stuff. You're bringing certain characters in that may or may not want to be at a location that you're at. And there's no like real big like, hey, don't bring this person. Or hey, like there are sections to where it's like, you're going to bring this person. This person's locked in. But there's other parts to where it's like, If you bring this person, they're gonna feel weird about somebody else who's there or something like that, and you're not gonna know about that until it happens. So it was a fun ride. It's a really fun ride. If you want just some narrative driven with some dice rolling, it's very, very recommended from me for sure. I'm sure Christian as well. But yeah, it's 5 out of 5. Game of the year so far. It's only done here from here, I guess. But we'll find out. We'll see how the rest of this year rolls out. I played the demo of Rift of the Necromancer. I wanted to kind of try that out. Christian said it'd be up my alley. Necrodancer, I'm sorry. So it's a rhythm game. It's very interesting. It's very well done. There's only one problem I have with it, and it's the type of rhythm game it is. I have the same issue with Amplitude.
Sure.
It has like 3 buttons that you're gonna press. Do you see these lines? It's very Guitar Hero-like. You have these lines coming down, enemies coming down with it. Some of them are moving, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different variations of what can happen there. But you have the middle, left, and right. Well, you got to decide what buttons you want to use for that, because there's a lot of other buttons like power-up buttons, do this button for like items or whatever. But I have a real hard time having my brain map to the controller of what is like middle. I can do left and right just fine. Mm-hmm. But what's middle gonna be? Like, there's no real middle button. So I usually choose like let me look at my controller. I usually choose like square or X on the Xbox, to where that would be like the closest thing I have to a middle button to get to. But it still kind of throws me off because it's still on the right side of my controller. So that's the only problem I had with it. I may not pick this one up. I have it on my wish list. If I get it on sale, I'll get it. But like that just for some reason fucks me up.
I switched to keyboard. Like, I was just playing it on my computer, and I just did left, right, and then up, like on the arrow keys.
That'd probably be a lot better. Yeah, I play on the
Steam
Steam
Deck.
Deck.
It helped me because it was weird for me too, but that helped me.
Yeah, if I do get it, then I'll probably play it on PC only, because I was trying to play on the Steam Deck because that'd be perfect. Just bounce on, play a couple songs. But for some reason, that just same thing with Amplitude. Like, I love Amplitude, but for some reason that just fucks with me. It fucks with my head. Yeah, played a little bit of that. Enjoyed it. And then I've been playing some more Empire at War on the stream. Star Wars Sundays on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. Having a good time with it. It's not the most exciting game to watch on a stream, but we're getting through it. I'm having a fun time. And Christian jumps in at the last like little bit of like my 3-hour stream. Like, hey, yeah. And I'm like, okay, before I go to this next planet, what I've been doing a lot is I don't want to go into a planet, lose a bunch of ships, retreat, and have to build my ships up again. So I just do a manual save right before I go to a planet. So if I feel like I'm fucking up, okay, just load up my game from previously. We'll jump back in. So I go to save my game before I go to this next section. I just finished this level. I just did the space battle. I did the land battle. All that time, probably about half an hour, 45 minutes of work. Christian jumps in. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to save my game. I go to do it. I do it so fast because I think I'm doing it right. I go to load my previous save. I'm like, fuck, no. I'm like, why am I here? Like, why do I not have that planet? I'm like, oh, no, did I just load up the previous save? I'm like, yep. And the autosave was well before that. So it was just the biggest bummer, like almost like not ruined, but like it put a dampen on my day. So I'm like, fuck.
You were pretty bummed.
Dude, I was bummed for that rest of that day. Like, it was like affecting like my normal life at that point. I'm like, man. So that's fine. I'll go through and do that one planet before I get back on this coming. This coming Sunday will be off, but the next time I play, I'll make sure to take out that planet just beforehand. Yeah, just kind of a bummer, but so far still having a good enjoyable time with it. I don't know some of the things that I'm doing. I don't know how to advance my tech tree. I think it's just happening as we go. I'm doing a lot of learning as I'm playing. There are some tutorials in there, but A, those tutorials are super boring. B, I don't think they tell you everything in there. But to be fair, I haven't played all the tutorials. I played the space one. I played the basic land one. I'm like, I kind of got the idea of it and jumped in. There's like 4 more tutorials. So if I still think I'm screwing up, I might play some of those tutorials just to see if I'm missing something. But overall, having fun with it. Then I had a game that went on sale. I'm like, hey, I've been looking at this. It's been on my wish list for a while. As Red Out 2. This is if you've ever heard of Wipeout, or you guys know I'm a fan of F-Zero. I like fast sci-fi racing games. Big fan. Big fan. And I've seen the trailer for this one. I played the demo of it once. It was pretty good. But it wasn't to me $30 worth of goods, so I didn't want to pay for it outright. I'm like, oh, it's like just less than $20. I'm like, damn, bet. I'll pick it up right now. Played a bunch of it one night. I'm like, oh, I'll dip my toes into it. Ended up playing like 2.5 hours of it. I really like that game. It's hitting that Wipeout itch of like, we're gonna play a race. You're gonna try to get 1 through 3 as far as placement. Obviously, the first place is gonna be best because you'll get all the stars for that like lap or that lesson or whatever they want to call it for that rank. And you're gonna go through different classes to go up. So that is pretty much taking over any time that I would play Zenless. I'm playing Redout now. Like, let's get a couple matches in, let's get a couple races in, let's build that up. And I have a good time with it. I think the driving compared to Wipeout is a little more less forgiving. Now, both of those games, Wipeout and this game, have drive assist in there. You can build sliders for it. If I'm feeling I'm having a really bad time and I just kind of want to boost up the lessen the difficulty, I can do that. But there's some, because a lot of times what it is you're turning, but it also kind of has a drift like a Mario Kart would, but your drift is on like your thumbstick. So you're kind of using that to like slowly move between the lanes, kind of getting where you want to, like for like, a turbo pad boost, or maybe the lane's narrowing, so you want to get down a little bit more. And then the left one is just for full on turning. So you're kind of like judging whether or not how much you want of each one during certain turns, depending on how wide they are. You're going to be crashing into the walls a lot until you kind of get the feel and the hang of it. Like pretty much anytime I boot that game back up, it's like I hit a couple walls. I'm like, okay, let's slow down a little bit. Let's just take it easy, figure out what we need to do, and then I usually get back into the rhythm and have a great time. There are some levels that just don't have walls. So like that was like the third or fourth race I did, and I'm just like, you go straight for a little bit, and there's like a hard left turn. The first like 5 minutes of that game, I'm just like off the wall, off the track. And it's like, oh, okay. But luckily, this also has one of those mechanics in there for rewinding time if you're playing single player. So you just press the little button, rewind it back to the part to where you can kind of course correct, and you can continue playing the game. So it's Redout 2 is amazing. It's hitting that F-Zero Wipeout itch that I haven't had for a long while. So I'm having a great time with that. Lastly, as far as games, Christian was stalking me on Steam and already noticed. But I've decided... Man, I got like 2 weeks left for Wilds. I probably got a good 10, 15-hour game left in me until then. I'm like, we got 2 options. We can do the Yuffie DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake, the integrated DLC, or Christian mentions he likes Crisis Core a lot. I think, my interest has been piqued when it comes to Zack. So I'm like, okay, well, it's right there in the family plan. Let's go ahead and download it. Like, I think Crisis Core is like, how long to be? Has like 14 hours. The reintegrate is like 10. I'm like, well, do I want to play as Zack or Yuffie? I'm like, oh, I want to play as Zack for sure. So started playing that. This one shows a little bit more of its age because it's obviously more of
just a remaster.
It's just a remaster of it. So it's still all the kind of it does kind of still try to give it like a good remake look to it, if you will. Still has
the resolution is bumped up from the PSP to the regular.
But it's all that kind of same aesthetics. Did it kind of just try to go off the Advent Children aesthetics then, rather than okay?
Yep.
We'll talk about
that game was Advent Children as fuck when it came in.
Yeah, okay.
Everything that you're seeing is exactly what it is. It's just now it has a normal resolution that it can be displayed at.
Combat's pretty fun. Slightly similar to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, more action-y. Your Mako or your materia is like set to like buttons. So rather than going in, pausing it, and choosing like a spell over attack, you can just hold like the left bumper and press one of the 3 or 4 buttons to pull off like a magic attack or to pull off like an action attack. This game has a little bit too many bars. You got your HP, your MP, your SP, and your AP. It's too many Ps. There's too many things we need to be putting into there. It's not like confusing me. I get it. It's just like, okay, how many bars do we actually need for this game, you guys? And
you gotta remember when this game came out, it was right around the time that Kingdom Hearts was popping off too.
Sure, yeah.
Or like when it was that was like when not Kingdom Hearts original, but when all the sequels, like all their handheld sequels were popping off, and so those also have a similar thing. Like they all played. Square Enix was just pumping these motherfuckers out. Is basically what I'm getting at. But yeah, yes, it does. It has a lot of bars.
Yeah, I finished the first chapter. I got a little bit into chapter 2. I think I'll like the kind of like story filler that it'll give me, and the kind of finding out more of Zach's backstory. Much like we'll talk about something later on today, the dialogue is and can be pretty rough on this game. It's think of like Vash or like one of those kind of characters where it's like they're always happy, they're always just kind of just being like a little kid.
That is a great way to describe
and
Zach.
It's just, but you never get the seriousness that Vash got. Like when Vash got serious, like like he's all goofy and positive, blah blah blah. But every once in a while, he like shit gets real, and Vash like gets very stern and like gets like kind of sad and dark. I haven't seen that happen yet. To be fair, I'm only like an hour in. My question to you, Christian, does this ever do a time jump to where you're not playing as childish, immature Zach? Or is it always like fairly young Zach? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because that's kind of what I'm waiting for on this one. I'm like, I kind of want to see him become.
I wouldn't say like time jump is in. It's like, holy shit, Zach is like 10 years older now, but like
more of an adult.
A thing happens that changes Zach's perspective, and then time moves forward a bit, and then you take control.
So that's what I'm hoping and waiting for. Right now, it's just kind of getting a little bit of background in like how Soldier and Shinra and all that kind of that backstory works. So I'm enjoying that little world building part of it. I'll get through it and we'll have some fun with it. But it's when it comes to that dialogue, man, boy oh boy, that is some rough dialogue, and there's a lot of it, a lot of it. So
yeah, that's that Kingdom Hearts writing right there, baby.
Yeah, it was the one thing that was kind of starting to turn me off. I'm like, maybe I do want to go and play Yuffie stuff. I'm like, maybe I want a little bit more modern writing on this one. But I'm like, I do still want the story, so we'll go through it because I want to.
I'll tell you that if you no, you will run into this issue with both. I'm just telling you.
Yuffie is also a very young character, so yeah, I can see that.
It's not that Yuffie's just very young, which she is, but the Yuffie DLC deals with some characters and different things. It pulls from a like the bad guy group called Deep Ground, which is definitely like post Original 7. It's like the extended universe dorks.
Like the Vincent guy?
So Vincent is...
I like Vincent.
Does have something to do with it, but it's not like... But not in that way. So Deep Ground comes into play with Vincent's solo game, Dirge of Cerberus.
Okay.
And that game is like peak bullshit. Like it is just like schlock writing that is like it is worse than anything that has ever been in that extended universe. Oof. And I'm including Advent Children in that. And Crisis Core for that matter.
I like that character.
No, Vincent's cool. There's there's nothing wrong with Vincent.
Yeah, but his whole side game is the shittiest writing in the entire series.
It's bad. It's real bad. But which is why they never remade it. Like they've never went back to it, and they will never go back to it.
It's all right.
Yeah. But so the reason though that they are okay with not going back to it is that they are piecemealing and lifting things from that game to bring forward into their new remake stuff. And Yuffie's DLC deals with Deep Ground the entire time. So you will hit just as much goofy anime bullshit that you're like, what the fuck are we doing?
Okay.
You will hit that. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't in this situation. Fair enough. Just how many hours do you want to put into it? That's really what you're coming down to.
I just want to get some more story. I feel like if I play this to a point where I get like 5 or 6 hours in, I'm like, this is just bad. I may just go and look up, a little bit lore videos on these kind of DLCs. But
the change will happen before then.
Okay, all right. So, yep, I'll give it a handful of hours. If I still don't like it, I'll just look up the lore videos. But like, yeah, I want to get that all the world building I can in before I start up Rebirth. So, which God knows when I'll start that up because games are coming out. And I don't see an end in sight for the moment. So until that happens, we'll see. But yeah, that's all the games I've played. I finished Solo Leveling Season 1. I think it's really good. It sets up some wild shit for Season 2 because the dude levels up a whole bunch, as you would imagine. And just his whole personality and, kind of candor kind of change as he goes through. But I think the first season is a great introduction to like this world and like what you're going to be doing in Solo Leveling. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of the second season. I'm going to wait for the full second season to be out before I actually go into it, but it just starts off batshit balls to the wall crazy, and I love it. Solo Leveling is really, really good. If you're looking for a new anime out there that's current, Solo Leveling is definitely one to be taking a look at. And then because of our video game book club, I have started Castlevania on Netflix, the animated show. And I finished
dope.
the first season of it, which is very short.
It is.
Kind of leads up to just, Alucard and Trevor kind of meeting, but that show's fucking amazing. I know Christian's already said it, and Alex, but it's just, it's very well done. It's got great writing. You go from playing Symphony at Night and then you go to watching this show. I'm like, hey, this is some pretty good writing. All right, good. I can be down for this. So I'm enjoying it. I'll definitely go through all, was it 3, maybe 4 seasons of that? Plus they got like a Nocturne spinoff too.
I think it's
Nocturne is new, yeah.
3 seasons in Nocturne, I believe.
Nocturne. Okay.
I thought it was 4 seasons in Nocturne.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it is 4 seasons in Nocturne.
I'm assuming of the first 3 seasons of the basic game are pretty much just all Trevor and Alucard's adventures.
Yes.
Then Nocturne is where?
Richter.
Nocturne is Richter stuff. Okay, all right.
Richter, welcome down
yet.
Belmont.
I'm walking down Belmont. Okay, but yeah, that's it for my week.
Cool. I'll go next. My week is short.
Oh, well,
So-
you and I played the same amount of games, so yes.
Okay. So I'll go next. So
You should end on the one we played together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I beat Warhammer on absolute difficulty.
Saw that trophy pop up, achievement pop up. Yeah, congrats.
I have now conquered that game and its hardest difficulties. It is. I thought Black Myth last year was like the most time I've ever put into a game as far as like growing with the difficulty and like pushing myself further. Because I was a New Game Plus on that one. This is topped that. This is the most I've ever pushed myself.
Would it have changed your list?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
As much as he put into that game, it was going to be top 3 at the very least.
That's goddamn right.
Yeah, I would have changed my list. So anyway, I beat that. It's very good. I am 2 trophies away from getting the platinum. If you go the 100%.
What's the achievements you got left?
Get 41,000 kills, and I'm at 38.8. Yeah, I'm at 38. Depending on what level I'm playing on, I can get between 200 and 400 kills in a match. So it's
possible.
a matter of days.
Yeah.
And then the other is you have to scan all 23 of the enemies. So like you could run in and you could tag an enemy, be like bad guy, right? Like whatever type of bad guy. There's 23 types of enemies you have to scan. I've scanned 22 of them.
Oh.
So now it is just like I think
What
I haven't
fucking
narrowed
one
down.
have I missed?
I think I have 2 like that I can go between. So I'll queue for a couple of missions and just see it. And if it's not those 2, then I'll just have to quickly like swap over to the campaign and like hop in and go tag, leave. Tag, leave, right? But both are very easy. They're not bad. It's really
or something like that shows who you've tagged already.
No, it just shows you the total number. And it's extended with the DLC up to 25 because they added 2 new enemies, and I'm now like 24 out of 25. So there's just that one I gotta find. But still, two easy trophies. So really, it's just the timing.
Difficulty, you can easily do.
Yeah, I'll have it done by next week. So that, and then the only other game I played was Final Fantasy 14. Christian and I went through patch 7.1.
All right. What's in it?
It is good. So there's a dope dungeon like right out the gate, which they did some pretty cool things to it. Some interesting mechanics that we haven't seen before. That were pretty fun. They like kind of in one part drop at the center of the arena, and like you have to run around the outside. And
It kept us on our toes a little bit. It was cool.
Yeah, but what was interesting is like in the past they would through means like bring back the center, be like, oh, you made it through the phase, it resets at the center.
Yeah, this time they just said fuck you.
Yeah, it's just gone the whole time, and like it leaves you like feet around the outside of this big donut.
Oh,
so it was cool. There was this interesting little bit of like horror to it where as you're learning more about these creatures that you're fighting, you're in this like testing lab, and It's not supposed to be blood. I'm sure it's like liquid and stuff. They try and make it dark, but it's definitely blood looking all over the place and like broken, like dead bodies and broken glass and stuff. And it was cool. Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't super long. I think it took us 2.5 hours to do it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eight quests or whatever.
Yeah, 8 quests.
But Christian made a good point. Like it's so weird to like hop in that game for a minute and just be like, let's catch up on what we need to do. And you play it for like 10 minutes, you're like, yeah, you kind of like got your hooks in me again.
Already,
like I can keep playing this.
Yeah, we were playing through the dungeon and we were just sitting there and we were like, oof, this is already hitting the right notes.
Yeah.
It was
and because we were doing good too. Like we did the first we did the first 2 bosses because there's 3 in the dungeon. Like no problem. Like first try, never seen the mechanics before. The last one, Christian accidentally got caught by one thing, and like once the healer was down, we're down.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it.
The good
so we
healer
restarted. Yeah, but otherwise, like it's this just was good. Had fun, but that's all I've done.
Alex died to forgetting the mechanic and thinking of mechanics of a different one. Just walked right off an edge.
Yeah, like, so when Christian died, I was like, oh, well, we'll just see how long the warrior can carry it. Because, like, I can't heal myself. So if we're not doing, like, fast damage, like bang, 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 I can heal through just big attacks. And I've been playing so much Space Marine, where there are invisible walls, that I was, like, in that donut, I was just ran right off the side. Because I thought it would just, like, run me around. It did not. I died.
I respawned, I saw Alex's health bar go all the way down. I said, what happened? And he was like, I walked off the edge.
Yeah, just ran right off. But that was it. I did see something last weekend. I went and saw the new Captain America Brave New World. Did not really like it.
Yeah, I'm hearing like just meh to like I didn't care for it like at all. I was supposed to see it this weekend. I'm gonna be seeing it this coming weekend now. My hopes are low on it in the first place. I like Anthony Mackie. I want to support the boy, but like
that's my thing. Like, and I won't say too much until you watch it, and we can talk about it. I like Anthony Mackie a lot, and like as Captain America, like I like him a lot. They try and do this thing that they've done in other Black hero-led movies, where you want to make the culture and the struggle part of the story, but you're scared to do it. Oh, sure. So like you do something that like introduces it, and then you instantly forget about it, or then you just like in just like a sentence, Anthony Mackie is like, I've overcome it. And you're just like, well then why, like, if you're gonna talk about it, like talk about it. Like let's get into it. But like Marvel's scared to do it, so it felt a little disingenuous at times. Sure. We can talk about the rest of it later, but the one thing I will say is in the third act, and we'll see how you feel about this, there is some of the worst CG I've ever seen. And it has nothing to do with like a person. Mm-hmm. Like we know Red Hulk is in it. We've seen the Red Hulk. He looks great.
Yeah, I know the other villains in it. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. Then there's a scene where we're on the street, and clearly like they did not destroy the street, because that would cost money. So they CG'd the destruction of the street. And it looks like amateur green screen hour. Like, Anthony Mackie does not actually... like, it seems like he's floating above the ground. Like, his feet aren't actively touching the ground just because of how bad it looks. So I'll be interested to see what you think about that. But it's, like, glaringly bad.
Man, Marvel's just been, like, missing on this. Like, especially, like, with the CG stuff. Like... People were talking shit on She-Hulk. Like, it just seems like they're just not putting... I don't know if they're putting enough effort or they're putting enough money into it, or if they're just saying this is okay, this is fine. But like, for superhero movies, it's like a sci-fi movie. Like your VFX, your CG should be looking pretty fucking good, especially when you're Disney/Marvel. So
I can tell you what they're thinking. How much money did this movie make already?
I don't know. Good question.
It's just the weekend.
I bet you it was a lot, and I bet you they're like, then that's why we're doing it, because fuck you guys are gonna come show up and see it anyway.
The CG, like, too, because there are a couple of bad guys in it and stuff, it looked fine, like, the whole time, until the third act, and the problem with it is, like, it's where the majority of the final battle takes place.
There's a lot of reshoots I heard on there, too, yeah.
Yeah, and there's... Oh, maybe that's why. And there's parts where Anthony Mackie is trying to have, like, an intimate like scene with the characters, like delivering dialogue that like you should care about, and all I could think is like, why the fuck does the background look like
Why
that?
does it look so bad? I'm distracted by the background.
There are people walking, and like there's cracks in the road, and like they should either step over it or like it should. And they don't. They just like walk right over it. And you're just like, oh, okay, like
Yeah. I genuinely think, and I haven't seen it, so whatever. Take my opinion with a grain of salt. But I genuinely think Disney / Marvel. I just think they don't care. Like,
yeah, I agree. I
think they're carrying
everybody
less
in it
as it goes on.
Yeah, everybody in it was great. Anthony Mackie was great.
Good.
Harrison Ford was very good.
Love the man. Good.
There was a part where you see Harrison Ford without his shirt on. It parts like not a hole without shirt, but like kind of here chest like up. And I didn't need to see that. And that's not like a weird like I don't need to see a man's. He's very old.
He's an older man.
And there's a lot of bones just like out like.
That's what happens when you get old. Skin starts to
being ageist right now, right on
gravity.
I get down with that.
Old.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like ew. It was just like I'm concerned for his health.
The man's old.
Based on what I'm seeing right now. But he was great. Harrison Ford did a good job. So
Alex in the middle there. He needs some milk. Just like
I did wonder, I meant to look it up and I forgot. Did the guy that played General Ross, did he die?
He passed.
Or did they just recast him? Okay.
He passed. That's why they recast him, because he did pass.
I thought so. Because I thought he was fine as General Ross in past movies. And I was like, Harrison Ford was also good, but it would be weird.
There was a hilarious interview. It was like, Harrison Ford's doing the fucking press junket, and the guy's like, hey, I know you, Harrison. You don't like all this nerdy shit. Like, what helps you sleep at night knowing that you look like this goofy red monster on the screen? And Harrison Ford just looks at the screen, goes, it's the money. He's like, they give me the check, and it makes everything better. and he's like, I'm just like, all joking aside, he's like, I'm glad to be a part of this universe and have everybody like, welcome me into it. He's like, but yeah, it's the fucking money. He's like, why do you think I'm doing this right now? He's like, I wouldn't be doing this if the money wasn't there. And I'm like, I love Harrison Ford so fucking much. Like the dude is just the realest.
It was good.
I love him.
Yeah. So that was my week. When you watch that movie, Preston, we'll talk more about it.
Yep. We'll talk about it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Christian?
All right, Christian.
Yeah, so we did 14, right? So there's that. And then the other thing that's happened is that Trails came out. So Trails Through Daybreak 2. I can't say anything. It's great. That's it.
What number is this one? Number 14?
You know what? Let me open it. Let me open it. And
I think I ask this every time a new one comes out, and I'm usually pretty close. I know it's in the teens for sure.
I'm opening it right now. Give me 1 second. I'll count it for you.
I'll definitely try out the remake of the new one when it comes out. The first one.
Sky. Yep. Well, you've played original Sky, Alex.
I know, but I want to see what the reimagined like that,
the new shiny version.
The thing you guys have to remember is that if it does pique your interest,
I know
the next game in the series where that game ends is not going to be like that. But
I know.
Well, I still have I have SC still downloaded on the Steam Deck. It's just one of these days I have to press start on it.
Yes, you do. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is number 12.
12. Okay.
This is number 12.
Do you think that's one of the longest running and respected
it might be the
JRPGs?
longest.
No. But I was gonna say like JRPGs that people don't know about, and I know like
yeah, it's either that or Ys. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the other one?
Ys.
I don't even.
The Y game.
It's just Y apostrophe S. Yeah.
Yes, I do know those. Okay, I've never heard that said. That makes sense.
They're made. It's guess who makes them? Also Falcom.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so shocking that it's made by the same company. Yeah, it's probably Ys, but either way, yeah, it's up there. Yeah, it's great. The even better though than the game is that they just did an interview with Kondo, who's the director for the series, and he just came out and said that there is, depending on how writing lines up and everything as far as he's finished storyboarding, after the next one that comes out that wraps up the trilogy of the area that we're in right now, he's like, there's probably 2 or 3 more games left, period. And then that'll be it.
He's seasoned in.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, I cannot believe that it's here. But he's like, yep, we'll be ending it all. And I was like, man, that'll be wild. And then thanks to our Steam library, everybody that is part of that will just have that full series whenever they want to go.
He comes crawling out of the basement of Falcom's dev. He's just like, I have 3, please. I just want to do anything else with my life.
Yeah.
I would like to see the beach. I used to surf when I was younger.
Yeah. Again, there's literally nothing I can say because any of it would be a spoiler for anything, for anybody who wants to go check it out.
But also most of it nobody would understand because we haven't played 11 games leading up to it.
Nobody would understand it, but it would be that once you started playing through and then the second a single character, like I could say one name right now and be like, this character shows up, and then you would be like, who? When you met them in the second Sky game, you would be like, oh shit, this person eventually comes around. That's crazy. Like, it would ruin a bunch of different stuff. So, yeah, it's great. That's it. It's been great, and I hope it continues to be great. And I would like to finish it before Monster Hunter Wilds, but
we'll see.
I'm hoping that continues to be the case. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
All right. Well, that is our weeks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to check in with us later this week, as we will make Preston a liar once again, because we are not going to need 2 weeks to do the Castlevania games.
Yes. Oh, surprise.
We are going to drop our second part of the Castlevania book club this week, because we all got around to it, and we're going to talk about it. So make sure you tune in for that. And with that, we'll see you later. Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.